Welcome back to Revolutionary War Rarities. This is the podcast from the Sons of the American Revolution. Today we present Season 2, Episode 5, entitled, Who is Cato? Today you will learn about how King George III acted in a play dedicated to independent liberty and the fight against tyranny. And we will also learn how that play influenced the actions of our founding fathers. But before we get to this episode, let's ask this week's trivia question. Who said, there is a certain enthusiasm in liberty that makes human nature rise above itself in acts of bravery and heroism? Stay tuned and the answer will be provided somewhere within this episode. And by the way, if you think you may have descended from someone who fought or provided services in the American Revolution, we would love to hear from you. Please consider becoming part of the Sons of the American Revolution by going to www.sar.org/find-your-contact. Now, we hope you enjoy today's episode of Revolutionary War Rarities, the podcast from the Sons of the American Revolution.
Who is Cato? Season 2, Episode 5. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 5. And I'm still getting used to saying Season 2.
Oh, I know.
Of Revolutionary War Rarities. My name is Jim Griffith.
And my name is Jim Maples.
Jim, have you ever heard of the play Cato, a Tragedy?
Jim, I don't think I've heard of that one.
Well, it turns out to be a play that was written in 1712 by a gentleman named Joseph Addison. Addison was a British playwright and also founded the popular daily publication called The Spectator. And it also turns out that this little-known play, Cato, a Tragedy, is one of the most important literary works for the leaders of the American Revolution.
Okay.
That's right. According to historian John J. Miller, no single work of literature may have been more important than Cato for the leaders of the American Revolution, even more than Common Sense by Thomas Paine.
Okay, so our founding fathers were very well-read gentlemen, so I find it surprising that a play that I've never heard of was more important to the founders than Thomas Paine's Common Sense. Jim, what was this play about?
Addison's play deals with many themes such as individual liberty versus government, tyranny, republicanism versus monarchism, I guess, logic versus emotion, and Cato's personal struggle to hold his beliefs in the face of death. The Cato in this play was Marcus Porcius Cato Utensis, also known as Cato the Younger. He was famous for resisting the tyranny of Julius Caesar. And it turns out that this play was very popular throughout England and all of England's possessions.
Okay, so Cato the Tragedy was a very, very popular play in England. I'm assuming if it became a heavy influence on the founding fathers that it was also popular in America.
That's correct. Now here's a crazy fact. Frederick, the Prince of Wales, the son of King George II and father of King George III, put on a production of this play in London. King George III played one of the characters in this play that was known for its focus on personal liberty versus government tyranny.
Okay. David McCullough, the author of 1776, believes that numerous famous quotes from founding fathers actually had their origins in this play. For example, Patrick Henry's "Give me liberty or give me death" quote. He believes this quote came from the quote from the Act 2, Scene 4. "It is not now time to talk aught but change of conquest, liberty, or death." Or Nathan Hale's quote, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Supposed reference to Act 4, Scene 4. "What a pity it is that we can die but once to serve our country." There are also references to other acts and scenes of Cato. Tragedy and letters written by George Washington and Charles Thompson.
Okay, let's pause very quickly to answer this week's trivia question. Who said there is a certain enthusiasm in liberty that makes human nature rise above itself in acts of bravery and heroism? And the answer is Alexander Hamilton. Now back to this week's episode.
From 1720 to 1723, John Trenchard and Thomas Gordon wrote essays all based on liberty and individual rights. And these essays were titled Cato's Letters, or Essays on Liberty. They did not use the actual names as part of this writing, but rather used Cato, the implacable foe of Julius Caesar.
And yet again, we have found a source of historical information that impacted the movement for an American independence. Cato challenged the rights of tyranny by government of any kind and pushed individual liberty as an alternative. And now we realize that a relatively unknown play in our day had a tremendous impact during the time of the American Revolution. Although it has never been verified, many believe that Cato, a tragedy, was performed during the winter encampment at Valley Forge. It is believed to have been performed for the purpose of re-energizing the poorly fed, poorly clothed, sick, and dying fighting force. A fighting force that needed to be reminded of what they were fighting and dying for. A fighting force who at times could be found simply by following the blood in the snow due to lack of shoes.
Although there are countless quotes on liberty, here are a couple that are appropriate. When the people fear the government, there's tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. That is from John Basil Barnhill. Here's another one from George Orwell. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. So the Roman Empire covered 1.9 million square miles and consisted of 20% of the total world population at its height. At its peak, the British Empire covered 13.13 million square miles. But with what seemed to be all the power available in the world at that time, the British Empire could not overcome a desire for liberty from a far inferior force. So, if you ever question the power of popular culture of the day, think about Cato, the tragedy, and think about the impact that play had on the fledgling American colonies, and think about the impact of that little-known play today on your life, and thank Joseph Addison, the British playwright, for the indirect role he played in the creation of the United States of America. My name is Jim Griffith.
And my name is Jim Maple. And we thank you for joining us today, and please be sure to join us for the next episode of Revolutionary War Rarities. This has been a production of the National Society, Sons of the American Revolution, www.sar.org.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode of Revolutionary War Rarities. Please don't forget to join our Facebook group, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the bell so that you will be notified when a new episode is released. Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast application as well. We will see you again in 2 weeks with another episode of Revolutionary War Rarities. Until then, stay safe.